Give it a second for people to try to log in here. All right, let's get started here. Thank you for joining us today. We have a really exciting topic as we get into the last bit of the year here. Something that people really resonate with as they're doing their appliance searching. We're talking about the best and worst kitchen appliances and trends for 2024 today. I have with me Steve Sheinkopf, our CEO here at Miele Appliance. Just a few housekeeping bits. Please use the Q&A feature to chat in any questions that you have about appliances or your kitchen projects. And please check out our YouTube channel where you can find all of our previous webinar topics. Lots of great videos there, product reviews and comparisons if you're looking to update your appliances. And with that, I'll turn it over to Steve.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Best and worst kitchens and trends. Let's get started. Here's a brand new appliance you'll be seeing. You probably see it now. This is a new over-the-range microwave from KitchenAid. Look how seamless that is. Isn't that beautiful? 12 inches, matches the actual depth of your cabinet. Really nice, very nice looking. Right, it's 12 inches deep, matches the cabinets. Now here's one rather small problem. The front burners you cook on is a 23. So what this basically means is this unit will not properly ventilate. And all the things you've heard about gas ranges now, this is going out in public, is, with nitrogen oxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, particulate matter, formaldehyde that's emitted in the cooking process is going to stay in your house. And if it's a new house, you got the energy efficiency windows and materials, it's going to stay in your house a lot longer. And that's why they say that the inside of people's homes is 3 to 7 times worse than the outside. So this is brand new. Some of you may want to stay away from, but it's not it, right? This is a brand new cooktop from Paykel. It's a downdraft. So let's just say you get a trivet. It's one of those things that holds a wok. You start wok cooking on that, stir frying. So all that smoke, grease, and toxic fumes is going to go through that little hole. It's going to go down, reverse gravity go down, and then it's going to transition, which reduces static flow of ventilation to the outside. Won't work. And neither will the new ones that are coming from Gaggenau, the new ones that are coming from Miele. Any of those downdrafts, if you cook, you should stay away from. Take a look at what a restaurant does. They got the big hood overhead. Now, you don't need to do that, but there's a lot of products that are sold on the market that really are not designed to ventilate properly. They're designed to look good. And, it's great that you want to see your windows, but you should have something a little more functional too, like ceiling blowers. People put them on cathedral ceilings. Smoke gets dissipated beforehand. Even that's assuming these work. Downdrafts are another. We talk about proper ventilation. We talk about capture. You're not going to capture anything in a 2-inch slat. Same thing with the over-the-range microwaves. That one's 12. The regular one's 16. The front burners are 23. So really, put your stove where it belongs, the outside wall, vent either straight up or straight back. Okay? And again, it's better than this, but in new construction, this should not be the standard of not doing anything, which seems to be another trend. So this is what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about ventilation, induction, heat pump, laundry, new colors, and smart functionality. Let's talk about induction. Induction was actually invented in the 1930s, brought to market in the 1970s. Kenmore had the first range in the 1980s and went away. We sold them in the 1990s under the name Diva for $4,000 for 4-burner 30-inch. Now, why are these becoming so popular? It's a better burner. In case you want to know how induction, I'll tell you in 5 seconds. It's magnetic burners that excite the middle molecules in the pan. Pan cooks the food. So it's faster to boil, infinite simmer, easy to clean, child safe, better to vent, much better. But the new acceptance has nothing to do with the fact that it's better. It's everything to do with the fact that your towns are banning them in luxury high rises. So Boston, Brookline, Cambridge, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, you can't put a gas range in a multi-level apartment. So now the manufacturers are scrambling around with new products. Like you're going to see the Monogram come out in 36-inch range and a 36-inch range. We didn't sell a 36-inch induction 5 years ago, and now you have Wolf, Fisher, Paykel, Vikings coming out with theirs, Miele's coming out with theirs, Monogram's coming out with theirs, right? So, and Thermador just have theirs. They've got a kind of a neat one, real different from everybody else. They've got the Liberty technology. So if you're boiling mac and cheese like I do for my daughter, you boil and then you warm and let stand. You can do that by just pushing that pot back and forth. There's 3 settings to it. And what you're going to be seeing in the future is now we go from 36 to 48. This is the Fisher Paykel due out in early 2024. It'll be followed by BlueStar, and certainly others will be in the 48-inch size. So here's how to buy one. You want to look at the elements. There's wattage differences. I think you want to look at LG's got a hot burner, Miele's got a few, Bosch has got a few. And then you want to look at the ability to bridge. If you have oblong shape pots or pans, there's a few that will, a lot of them on the cooktop, some of them in the range will allow you to extend, to join both burners. It's called a bridge. And then look at stove features like Wolf's got their blower convection, Miele's got steam functionality, and there's a few others. But be very careful when you buy a 36-inch range. You're not going to get a big unit. You would think you would, but this Thermador is 4.9 cubic feet. An LG 30-inch is 6.3. A Bosch 36-inch is only 3.7 cubic feet. So if you think you're getting bigger in the top, but you're getting smaller in the oven. So just make sure it'll fit your needs. You're looking at a unit that doesn't exist. This is a LG heat pump dryer. Now let me explain how heat pumps work. Heat pumps, like your regular dryer, what it does is it takes the air from your basement, heats it up with elements, and then it vents to the outside. So it's always pulling colder air. What a heat pump does is it uses an evaporator to take the moisture out of your clothes, a compressor to heat that moisture up through an air exchanger. So it's always a closed loop. So it's really reheating warmer and then hotter air. So it's 50% more efficient. Now, what does that mean? In the Boston area, I was paying 28.4 cents when I lived in Jamaica Plain. I live in Boston. I haven't checked my energy rates. It's been a month. That means it's about $1 a day, 96 cents exactly to run a dryer in the Boston area, an average dryer. So if you've got a older dryer, it could be up to 50 cents. It could be up to a lot more expensive, according to Whirlpool. So you're looking at, say, $360 if you do one load a year to run a dryer. It's the second most after your HVAC system. If you're a family of 5 and an inefficient dryer, you could be looking at $700 or up to $1,000 to run a dryer. So the heat pumps are 50% more energy efficient. They're ventless, so you can really put them anywhere. They're 110 ventless, so you can put them anywhere. And then they're gentler on your clothes. It's because they dry at a lower temperature. And here are some of the ones you want to look at. Miele, you put any dryer with a Miele washer, because the washer spins out at 1,600 RPMs. To give you an idea, that's twice the level of a high efficiency top load. So, but the dryer is really good. You have steam. This is the only one that can dispense custom fragrances from France. And both of them have the honeycomb drum, so it's very good at making sure silks don't get frayed, zippers don't get stuck. This is really good, but it's only 24 inches, so it's smaller capacity. The bigger ones have only come out recently. As far as the popular big ones only come out this year. This is LG's WashTower with heat pump. Now, the way the WashTower works is 11,000 data points measuring fabric and weight, and it customizes the cycle based on that, based on the data points. Now you have a very large heat pump dryer. But the really new one is the GE UltraFast, which is washer dryer, putting in something dirty, having it come in clean or dry. And I've always said that these combos have had real issues because they can't remove the lint. Lint stays in the machine, and it basically just, it's one expensive, almost impossible service call. Combos are really throwaways. But what GE did was smart. They put a huge filter next to the heatsink, so you won't have that issue. And you're going to see more of these. LG's got a combo coming out. I imagine if LG does it, Samsung will. Let's talk about the next trend, colors. Not that stainless is going to go out, because stainless blends with everything. I don't know why we put this picture up. It's Dolce & Gabbana from Smeg. Kind of interesting. They've got a couple of different flavors that are pretty interesting. But when I first started, white was the popular premium color. And it's back there. This is the cafe. You've got white with 6 different handle styles to make it unique. Also black on this too. So Samsung Bespoke. Samsung started with navy, which isn't very popular. They discontinued. Tuscan, which is brown, which nobody should buy because it always gets discontinued. And black steel, which is that oxide coating that gets scratched and looks terrible. And now they're back to white, which looks pretty good. So if Samsung does it, then LG will follow, which they have. They've got a new white series with different handle styles. The next premium color is the next premium color when I sold it, which is black. This is BlueStar. BlueStar actually has 1,000 different colors. And not only that, is if you don't like the 1,000, you can send them a chip and have them customize it. And they got 10 different trims. So if you want it with copper or brass or any number of distressed metals, they can do that for you. And then you have I love this website of just filling in a color and filling in a hinge style. I get 14 colors, 6 different hinges. They even make their own glass in this factory. But you can buy color on that too. The new trendy color, believe it or not, is green, which is amazing to me because we sold for 90 years, we sold lighting, and the one color we couldn't sell is green, except over pool tables because of the green felt. But this is the new trendy color. It was in Boston Magazine earlier this year. Cafe is going to introduce it. True had a mint julep. La Cornue had their green that just came out as well. But green is the new fashion color, right? Now, can you guess what the new high fashion accent to that would be? It's right here. If you don't know what it is, it's brass. The same way we used to sell brass Williamsburgs back in the 80s, but now it's back again. Here's something really interesting. You can get brass. This is an actual brass refrigerator covers. It's $3,500 each. Then you're going to buy the refrigerator at 10 grand. But brass seems to be, but polished brass, distressed brass, if you want something a little bit different. So how do you put color in your kitchen without doing something like this? And if you like this, more power to you. But what I've always recommend, based on the amount of pictures I've seen, is just add a dollop of color. Centralize it over the range, right? This is blue, so if you put green and it goes out of trend, it's still unique. It's a lot better than putting all blue or all green in your kitchen. And I put this picture in for a reason, because it's not vented properly with the ceiling vent. And putting a stove next to a window will be one greasy window. But just centralize that color in your range, and that's how you get started if you want to dip your toe in and put a little different color than white, black, or stainless. And we show a lot of color in our stores now. I think we got blue covered on the left pretty well, and we show a lot of different kind of metal surfaces if you're looking for ideas. Smart functionality. I haven't been a big proponent of early smart, because all it really did was turn your oven on or off remotely, or you can change temperature, and that's not a huge benefit. But now you can do all sorts of cool stuff. In ranges, LG and I think G now have cameras in there, so you can look at your food as it's cooking. You get real appliance status updates. And for your refrigerator, say it'll tell you when to change your filter, because no one really knows. Tell you when you keep your door open as well. But really the future, and we've actually added smart functionality in our AI programming, where we could tell you, you put your order into our app, and it'll tell you that Kevin will be there at 2:44. When I started, it was like, yeah, we'll be there today and Saturday. And then 10 years ago was morning. And then 8 years ago, it was 2 hours. Now we can tell you within a half hour when it's going to be there. So that's pretty interesting too. A lot of retailers do that. So, but really the most interesting thing probably in this presentation is I was at a expo. I saw their GE's new commercial laundry. It's pretty interesting. You can set the money per cycle. You can do all sorts of different things by QR code. But what they did that was super interesting is it'll tell you by machine how much money you're making. But if your machine goes offline, it'll tell you why it's broken and the part to fix it. And that's not available residentially, and supposedly it should have been for a couple of years. But think about that. You get a text on your phone saying your refrigerator is not working. Do you want to order this panel? And then we show up with that panel. Now, we do what's called pre-diagnosing, which is educated guesses. We have 2 techs that pre-diagnose every call, but we only get 76% right, which is the best in the industry. To do 100% and get a part next day, this would be a game changer for the appliance business. But let's get back to features like the Monogram range has the Heston Q app. So what it does is you move through the recipe, it changes the burner for you. So the pan's got a sensor in it. So the burner changes from hot to simmer automatically, or warm, or whatever that is. Bosch has got the new power control dishwasher. So let's just say you have you run it off an app, and the bottom rack is separated into 4 quadrants. So let's just say you've got baked on lasagna pans and you have china. You can wash half and half or by quarters and still wash that lasagna pan without destroying your china, because it changes the intensity per quadrant through the Smart Home Connect app. I think that's pretty interesting. And again, getting back to our first slide, Samsung's introducing a refrigerator they're bespoke to, where you can put your face on your refrigerator. They put my face on, and goodness knows attendance was down in their booth by 40%. But you can put anything you want on there: your dog, your kid, your favorite, anything. Any picture that you have on your camera can be the front of your refrigerator. LG will have their JukeBox refrigerator, which is 60 different colors per panel, operate in a jukebox-like function. So, the good thing about both these refrigerators, if you get sick of the 60 different configurations on each panel, both these refrigerators default to stainless steel. So the future looks like a connected, colorful, energy-efficient kitchen. I put this picture in because it's colorful. It's black, right? You get a little stainless in there. It's not too much, but you can do this. And just for a few key takeaways is really plan your ventilation properly. Put it on this wall. Put a hood over it that's 23 inches deep. If you like to cook, you'll never have to worry about anything in your kitchen. Induction is something that's really interesting. And even if you cook in gas, I think you should get a demo and get an idea, because especially on the steam side and the cleanability, it's excellent. Don't be afraid to add a little dollop of color, make your kitchen a little bit more unique. And smart's becoming smart. You get a Nest thermostat, and I think Appliance is going to have some really good functionality in the future. So with that, I'm going to say, we have a blog channel, our YouTube channel. Our next webinar, which is in 2 days, how to buy appliances during Black Friday. That I'll give it back to you, Pat.
Thank you, Steve. That's great. We have a couple questions coming in the Q&A. Please do continue to pass on any questions for us that you'd like to have answered about your appliance projects. Steve, you ended there with a takeaway about smart appliances. The first question that came in was, do you foresee a holistic interface for connected appliances for multiple brands in a home?
Yes, I do. But who wins, right? You've got some very powerful companies. It's almost like, God, I'm dating myself, a Beta versus VHS, or Divx versus VHS. Someone was going to win. Who's going to win? Is it going to be Apple? Is it going to be Google? Is it going to be Samsung? You have very powerful companies vying for that. I think one day it'll happen. Jennier predicted that You are going to talk to your stove, tell them the lasagna that you want to make, and the stove would know how you want to make that lasagna. It would signal to your dishwasher to get ready for dirty dishes. It'll scan your refrigerator for the ingredients needed, send it away in DoorDash. That hasn't happened yet. I still think it will, but it's a matter of who's going to take control of this segment. And you've got 3 or 4 of the most interesting company in the world is fighting for it. So it'll be pretty interesting. I think it'll happen.
Thanks, Steve. Please continue to send in questions to the Q&A. We have a couple questions that came up based on the presentation that we can dive into, Steve. You talked about induction for sure. Lots of people ask this question these days now. How do you replace a gas range for an induction range? What's actually involved there?
We did a blog post that we can send to people. I did some research on it, and it's not easy. We have a master electrician on staff. I asked him, but here's what has to happen. You have to change from the control panel all the way to the range, and you may need a plumber. In mass, you probably need a plumber. You need to change the outlet next to the stove. You may have to change the cutout. You may have to you have to cap the gas. There's a lot of moving parts here. Long and short of it, there's 6 actual steps, and we'll send the blog post to you. But it's a lot of electrical, some gas, some delivery, and about $3,500 just for the conversion.
Cool. Thank you, Steve.
And then you've got to find the people that can actually do it. That's really supremely hard.
And pick out an induction range, which is another question we get a lot. What recommendations for induction ranges do we offer these days?
Well, induction's becoming popular, and it's scarce because the drivers that there's a part to the induction cooktop, to the actual burner, that's in short supply. So you haven't seen induction come down in price because there's still like an inelastic supply. But that said, what I would recommend, it really depends what you want to do. I like Fisher Paykel on the top, to be honest, especially in the 36-inch. I like Wolf for their oven functionality. I like Miele for their steam functionality. I like LG for their output. They've got a 4,000-watt induction burner. Cafe's got the double oven that I like. Samsung actually has some decent units. There's a lot of good, but there's not a lot. But it really depends what you want, if you're more of an oven top person or a stove person.
And next up here, another product that you mentioned, Steve, was the GE Profile UltraFast combo washer and dryer. We could do a whole webinar on that one product.
We could. We have.
Perhaps at this point. And we do have videos on our YouTube channel and Appliance Advisors channel. But do you want to get into, would you recommend that product and maybe touch on why it's different than previous combos?
Would I recommend it? It depends, really. First of all, it depends if it's reliable or not. It seems to be right now. But secondly, you have to understand that if you're going to buy this unit, that it's going to take twice as long. Right? We did a post on the WashTower versus the UltraFast. The one thing you do with the WashTower is the washer. You can do the wash, the load ends. You put it in the dryer. You refill the washer. With the combo, you don't get to refill, so it really takes twice as long. So it really depends how much laundry you actually do. I think for a lot of people, this is really good. 110, if you only got 110, if you can't vent, any number of things. If you like to do laundry before you go to bed or before you go to work and just have it done. I mean, transferring, if you don't transfer the way you should, the clothes can get a little moldy, let's face it. But there's a lot of pluses and minuses, and it really is. I don't make a blanket. I won't make a blanket recommendation for this product before talking to the person that wants to use it, quite honestly.
Cool. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, that seems like, seems like it has been it seems like a valid product at this point, but it does kind of depend on what you do in your household in terms of laundry, if it's going to make sense for you, right?
Yep.
Staying in laundry, can you recommend any full-size heat pump dryers?
No. The early ones are really disappointing. At one time, Whirlpool had one, but you needed a service tech to, guess what? Clean the lint, right? You'd have to call a service call to clean the lint. LG's never really got off. But I think this will change. I think this will change in 2024. One of the reasons why we're doing the webinar, I think you're going to be able to get a full-size heat pump dryer. And as long as the lint doesn't become an issue, as it shouldn't, hopefully, I think that's the way you go. I just think the one thing that I never realized is how much power how much it costs to actually dry your clothes. And when you think about $1 a load in Boston on an average dryer in a family of 5 doing 2 loads maybe a day, that's a significant amount of money. And a heat pump dryer could pay for itself in a year. And then you get all that savings afterwards. So I think you're going to see it next year. I know you will.
A few other questions that we want to dive into here, but let us know if there's any Q&A. Let us know if you have any questions in the Q&A tool here. One last one on laundry, Steve. What's the repair rate on heat pump dryers?
Bosch is really good. Bosch has got a compact. I don't think it's as good as Miele is in terms of features, and they're going to change that. But it's very reliable at like 2.5%. Not bad. Miele's is 10%. But we just realized when we were doing the service calls that we were going out there cleaning people's. There's a secondary filter on the compacts that you've got to clean out. If you don't, dryer sends a code. Now we should have probably just call people and say, well, you got to replace. It's called a plinth filter. I think it's in the bottom left-hand side when you look at it. And you just have to clean that out every once in a while and you'd be fine. But it looks like the Miele is around 3 to 4%, which is the average percentage of a dryer. So it's commiserate to what dryers are. And dryers are some of the most reliable appliances. Appliances in general are about 9.5% service in the first year. So I would say it's pretty good right now. And again, one thing I didn't mention in the presentation is heat pumps were first invented in 1856. Or did I mention it? Oh, either way, they've been around for a while, so I don't think it's a problem. Now, where the problem is if there is a problem, finding the tech that'll fix it. But that's true of almost anything you can buy these days. So,
I think just one more question, Steve, before we wrap up. You talked a lot about colors and adding color to the kitchen. What's your favorite color?
What's my favorite color? Let me tell you what isn't my favorite color based on what I see come and go so quickly in the store. I would never buy anything in brown, whether you call it truffle brown, cappuccino brown, toast, coffee. I've seen more browns go oil rub bronze. I've seen more browns come and go in such a short period of time. It's just not a color that blends with anything. It doesn't blend with white, and oddly enough, it doesn't match with brown. Glass brown doesn't match with appliance brown. So I wouldn't put brown in my kitchen. The other thing I wouldn't do is I wouldn't put black stainless steel in any appliance ever, because that thing's just a coating. And what happens is you can scratch the coating and it's just stainless steel underneath it. So those are two I wouldn't do. Navy, I love blue's my favorite color, but navy's just never worked. I kind of like the pastels. I'd probably do that blue that you saw in the presentation. I would probably do an orange or some kind of light, some kind of green, something different, off tone, depending on the cabinets. I've seen red seems to be popular if you go to the A&D building. I did that a couple of weeks ago. Red's a good color. Really depends, but I would say my favorite color would be that pastel. What do you think, Pat? What's your favorite color?
Cool. Well, actually, I'm also a blue. So not to be redundant, but I like to see like lots of blues, and the blues in cabinetry that's been a recent trend is really nice. So yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you should mention that. We've done webinars. We've showed that blue. Kind of like the other thing people can do is your island doesn't have to be the same color as everything else. Like you can do a nice two-tone, and you know, look through design magazines. The one good thing about webinars is, you know, I've had to spend a ton of time researching, and I go through these photos of what people have done, and this just, you can do all sorts of cool things. You don't have to be conventional, especially, you know, your tile backsplash doesn't have to be subway tile, right? It doesn't have to be some kind of white tile that everybody else does. You know, there's all sorts of really interesting stuff that you can do. Flooring, tile, your island can be different. You know, it's really up to you. Or you can do white.
I think that's a great segue to wrap up here. And like Steve just mentioned, a lot goes into starting your kitchen project. I'm reminded of a webinar we did with our friends at Metropolitan Cabinet, who we talked about how to start your kitchen project and talk over those design discussions. That's available on our YouTube channel. Join us for our webinar on Thursday, all about Black Friday, how to buy appliances during Black Friday this year. And with that, any final notes, Steve, before we sign off?
I think we've said it all, Pat. I think we leave it with putting blue in your kitchen.
Perfect. We appreciate you joining us here. Have a great week and see you soon.